Mangwanani Malepo Fukenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. On today's show, we celebrate Burundi's Independence Day with a tribute to its national journey since 1962. We unpack the new but shaky Congo and Rwanda peace deal and examine political tremors in Cameroon as allies of Paul Biya break rank. In South Africa, the DA withdraws from a national dialogue initiative. We also bring a harrowing story from Kenya's protests and a shocking study on defective cancer drugs in 4 African nations. Don't miss Namibia's AfCFTA export milestone and your Zimbabwe report with Talent Gore. Watch us on DSTV 25, GOTV 25, 1up2.com and NTV Africa on YouTube. On July 1st, 1962, Burundi emerged from colonial rule to claim its place as a sovereign nation, a moment etched in the heart of its people. This Independence Day, we honor the resilience and unity of Burundians who fought for self-determination, overcoming immense challenges to build a vibrant nation. From the rolling hills of Gitega to the shores of Lake Tanganyika, we celebrate the rich cultural heritage and unyielding spirit that define Burundi. Happy Independence Day, Burundi. We'll be diving into the Africa Good Morning top stories shortly.
Running a business isn't just about hitting the big milestones, it's also about handling the day-to-day. From equipping your office, to closing deals over lunch, to managing your team's expenses while they're on the go. Now, with the FNB Business Credit Card, you can handle everyday expenses with ease. Enjoy up to 44 days of interest-free credit, unlimited swipes, and real-time expense tracking, so you're always in control. Apply for an FNB Business Credit Card. Contact us today to get started. FNB, how can we help you?
Let's get into the top stories. A U.S.-brokered peace deal signed in Washington between the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda has stirred cautious optimism but raised major concerns over its effectiveness in ending decades of violent conflict in eastern Congo. The agreement, hailed by President Donald Trump as securing American mineral interests, excludes Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group, one of the region's deadliest actors, casting doubt on its implementation. While the deal commits both countries to halting support for armed factions, upholding sovereignty, and fostering economic cooperation, it offers little clarity on enforcement mechanisms. Experts fear that without M23's direct involvement, the accord may fail to curb violence or prompt rebel withdrawals from seized territories. Rwanda, accused by the UN of benefiting from illicit mineral exports via M23-held zones, denies supporting the rebels but has not confirmed any withdrawal of its troops. The rebels continue to consolidate power locally, undermining peace efforts. Talks in Qatar may eventually involve M23, but critics argue that excluding them from Washington negotiations jeopardizes the process. Meanwhile, over 7 million Congolese remain displaced, with humanitarian agencies calling for urgent access and relief. Though historic on paper, the deal's real-world impact remains uncertain as conflict dynamics evolve on the ground. Moving on. Cameroon's long-serving Tourism Minister Bello Boba Maigari has accepted his party's nomination to contest the presidency in the upcoming October elections, becoming the second close ally of President Paul Biya to enter the race. Maigari, 78, who served as Prime Minister in the 1980s and has stood by Biya for over 3 decades, was nominated by the National Union for Democracy and Progress. His decision to run without resigning from his current ministerial role signals growing political shifts within Biya's ruling circle. Just days earlier, another prominent northerner and former government spokesperson, Issa Chiroma Bakari, resigned to launch his own bid, citing widespread demand for leadership renewal. Now, with Biya, the world's oldest serving head of state at 92, still silent on his re-election intentions, the emergence of these candidates points to a potential fracturing of the long-standing alliance between the presidency and influential northern elites. Northern Cameroon Cameroon, comprising of Adamawa North and Far North regions, hosts over 2 million registered voters, making it a critical electoral bloc. Overall, more than 8 million Cameroonians have registered to vote in a nation of 30 million. The political dynamics ahead of the election are rapidly shifting, raising questions about succession, loyalty, and the future of Biya's extended reign. South Africa's Democratic Alliance has pulled out of the National Dialogue initiative launched by President Cyril Ramaphosa following tensions within the fragile coalition government. The decision comes after Ramaphosa dismissed DA Deputy Trade Minister Andrew Whitfield over unauthorized trips to the United States, escalating friction between the ANC and its largest coalition partner. While DA leader John Steenhuisen confirmed the party remains in the government of national unity, he warned that the DA is in the process of losing confidence in Ramaphosa's leadership. The DA had considered tabling a motion of no confidence but opted against it for now. The National Dialogue was established to unify South Africa after the 2024 elections ended the ANC's parliamentary dominance, leading to a power-sharing agreement with the Democratic Alliance. However, ideological differences have sparked repeated disputes, with the DA accusing the ANC of sidelining coalition partners and undermining consultative governance. Steenhuisen emphasized that the dismissal of Whitfield without proper engagement reflects a broader pattern of exclusion. Here is John Steenhuisen in his own words.
The Democratic Alliance's federal executive has resolved to withdraw from the National Dialogue with immediate effect. We will also actively mobilize against it in order to stop the obscene waste of 740 million rand of public money, starting with a call on all civil society bodies in South Africa to join us in demanding that the dialogue not proceed until President Ramaphosa fires ANC corrupt individuals in the national executive. Because the reality is, no matter what the dialogue resolves, no matter how many noble resolutions it may take, and no matter how many feel-good moments it has, nothing will change in South Africa for the better if we keep the same people around the cabinet table who have involved themselves in corruption, maladministration, and misleading of Parliament. The dialogue also has no constitutional standing whatsoever to take or impose decisions. Plus, I make the point that we have already had a national dialogue last year. It's called an election. And the people said very clearly in that election that they do not want to have anything to do with ANC one-party arrogance or domination. A second and critically important step that the DA is taking is to vote against upcoming departmental budget votes for the departments headed by Simelane Nkabane and other corruption-accused ANC ministers.
A 22-year-old Kenyan street vendor, Boniface Kariuki, has been declared brain dead after being shot in the head by police during protests in Nairobi. His family confirmed that while his heart continues to beat with the aid of life support machines, doctors have declared his brain no longer functional. Kariuki was struck at close range on 17 June during a demonstration sparked by the death in police custody of blogger and teacher Albert Ojwang. The incident has intensified public outrage over police brutality in Kenya, especially amid an already tense political climate. Doctors have performed multiple surgeries in Kariuki, but bullet fragments remain lodged in his brain. His family has appealed for public donations to help cover mounting medical costs, while urging authorities to speed up investigations. 2 officers implicated in his shooting have appeared in court but are yet to enter pleas. The protests, which have led to at least 19 deaths nationwide, have drawn fierce criticism of the government's heavy-handed response. Interior Minister Kipchumba Murkomen's remarks labeling the protests as terrorism and authorizing shoot-on-sight orders have sparked condemnation from rights groups. Public calls for justice and accountability continue to grow as Kariuki clings to life. In the last of our top stories, A groundbreaking study published in the Lancet Global Health has revealed that nearly 20% of cancer drugs tested in Ethiopia, Kenya, Malawi, and Cameroon are either substandard or counterfeit. Researchers working across 12 hospitals and 25 pharmacies tested close to 200 products and found that 1 in 6 contained incorrect levels of active ingredients. These findings mark the first systemic analysis of defective cancer medications in Africa and raise grave concerns about the continent's regulatory and pharmaceutical infrastructure. Patients receiving underdosed or fake treatments risk cancer progression, adverse reactions, or death. Experts attribute the problem to poor manufacturing standards, bad storage, and outright counterfeiting, exacerbated by weak regulatory oversight. Visual checks often fail to detect defective drugs, with lab testing proving far more reliable. The World Health Organization acknowledged the findings and is working with the affected nations to address the issue. While 2/3 of products met quality standards, the rest point to dangerously vulnerable supply chains. Health economist Sachiko Ozawa emphasized the potential for economic loss, while researcher Maria Lieberman stressed the urgent need for better testing facilities and training. With cancer drugs among the most difficult and hazardous to test, the study calls for systemic regulatory reform and investment in pharmaceutical quality control. Those have been our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Shortly, we'll be talking to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report.
Slow internet should be a headache of the past, yet many Namibians have connections that just aren't fast. We have a solution that might set you free. It's called Mobile LTE, and it comes with real speed. You'll enjoy up to 50 megabytes per second from just $300 Namibian a month and free internet browsing after midnight till 6. When it comes to staying connected, this is it. Visit paratus.africa/Namibia or our branches nationwide and experience the thrill of better internet with Paratus by your side.
Always prepared, Paratus.
It's time for us to talk to our correspondent in Zimbabwe, Talent Gore Wamukase.
Africa.
Tamuka Hedu, thank you for bringing us the Zimbabwe report. Now, Zimbabwe's Vice President Constantino Chiwenga is warning tender cartels and saying that their day of reckoning is coming.
Yes, our Vice President Constantino Chiwenga on Thursday continued his crusade against cartels using political connections to win massive government contracts, warning that the day of reckoning is coming. Chiwenga told the Congress of the Zimbabwe National Chamber of Commerce in Victoria Falls that the country was witnessing a growing culture of so-called businessmen flaunting wealth with no known enterprises, an apparent job at the tenderpreneur GOTV. The government recently awarded a 437 million tender to supply cancer equipment to Chivayo's 6-month-old company, TTM Global Medical Exports. The company's registered address is a hotel room in Johannesburg. Chiwenga previously hit out at what he called Zhigananda, a Shona word for a tick engorged with blood. He said these Zhiganandas were sucking the nation dry through illicit practices, mainly the corruption of the state procurement system to enrich themselves and their associates. In his own words, Chiwenga said we must shun unscrupulous so-called business people operating from briefcases, no traceable capital or legitimate enterprises. This culture of platform entrepreneurship, where money appears without any known source, is not only economically corrosive but ethically bankrupt. This is what Chiwenga said at the Congress in Victoria Falls. This is not the first time that Vice President Chiwenga has lashed out at corrupt business people in Zimbabwe. This is the second time. The first time he calls them Zhiganandas, and it looks like he's taking a jab at a businessman, Wikno Chufayo, who is a tenderpreneur, he gets all the tenders. The government awards him all the tenders, and we don't even see how the process happens. We just see him being awarded with these tenders. Right now, he has been awarded with a 437 million United States dollars tender to supply hospitals with cancer machines. So the vice president is not happy with how the government is doing business and is calling out all those to stop, and he's saying that their days are numbered. As soon all this will be over. So we're just going to be monitoring the situation to see how the businessmen, in particular with Notifier, is going to react to what the VP said. As of now, he hasn't said anything, responded. Usually he responds, but this time around he hasn't said anything. So we're just going to be monitoring to see how he's going to react, or how government parastatals are going to react in connection with these sentiments from the vice president.
Yes, indeed, Talent. I do recall some EU ministers who had come with the business communities that side, and the top EU minister meeting Constantino Chiwenga, the vice president of Zimbabwe, but he also met the business community. And sadly, his assessment was that he came to make business, to do business, and to find trade partners with mutually beneficial causes, and all he found was dealers. And I believe that's what the vice president is trying to address. Now, the teacher-to-pupil ratio is alarming lawmakers. Zimbabwe has always been proud of its educational system. Of course, right now, it hasn't been as stable as it used to be, but this is also a reflection of that, isn't it, Talent?
Yes, this is also a reflection of what is going on within the education sector. Zimbabwe's education sector has seen an increase in teacher-to-pupil ratio to 1:45, far above the ideal standard where each educator has 20 learners in early childhood classes and 40 in primary grades, a new report shows. This is contained in the Joint Committee on Primary and Secondary Education and Thematic Committee on Gender and Development on the state of universal access to basic primary and secondary education in Zimbabwe. The revelations have heightened calls on government to lift the freeze on teacher recruitment. Apparently, right now, teacher recruitment has been frozen by the government. They are not recruiting any teachers as of now. The report revealed that the government freeze on teacher recruitment halted the appointment of 8,000 educators pending Treasury approval. The committee described the current ratio as too high, calling for urgent action. A result, many schools are operating with overcrowded classrooms, often exceeding the recommended limits. This scenario compromises both the quality of education and teacher effectiveness. So this was reviewed in a report which is being done by the parliamentarians. So they reviewed that the teacher-to-pupil ratio is too much, and this has compromised the quality of the education system in Zimbabwe and the teacher effectiveness. As you know, Zimbabwe has frozen the teacher recruitment for quite some time now, pending Treasury approval. So the education. The Minister of Education is just waiting on Treasury to give them a go-ahead to recruit teachers. But as of now, Treasury has said that the teachers cannot, the ministry cannot appoint any more teachers. They have to wait for approval for them to do so. So right now it's a sad situation because Zimbabwe's education sector has for long, we have been for long been proud of our education sector, but with those previous years, a lot has been happening within the sector. Teachers are actually leaving the country. Brain drain is taking place. A lot is happening. Some teachers right now are on strike. They want their salaries to be increased, but the government is saying that they do not have money. So we hope that the government and the teachers themselves, they find a common ground and everything goes back to the way they used to be back in the day.
Thank you very much, Talent. We're going to have to end it there, but thank you for delivering the Zimbabwe report.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good to have you on Africa. Good morning. We're going to dive straight into our economic news, and it is quite a story. Namibia has officially launched its first export assignment under the African Continental Free Trade Area, marking a historic step toward deeper integration into Africa's single market. The ceremonial event took place yesterday, 30 June, at the Walvish Bay Salt Company warehouse and was officiated by the Minister of International Relations and Trade, Salma Ashipala Musavi. The inaugural shipment of 45,000 tons of salt destined for Nigeria symbolizes Namibia's commitment to unlocking new trade corridors across the continent. Here's the minister.
That year, and we gave each other 50 years to reach the Agenda 2063. And they said under that agenda, 2018, it is the day the instrument was signed by our leaders. So whenever we celebrate independence, we must also celebrate the birthday of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And then it was in 2019 that it was then made effective so that we can start trading 2021 for the first 24 countries that signed up, and Namibia was one of the countries that deposited their instrument first. To date, 54 African countries of the 55 have signed the agreement, that is 54, and about 48 have ratified and deposited their instrument. Maybe we should clap for African leaders. Thank you. So, Honorable Minister, today we are celebrating indeed something that under the leadership of our presidents, the leadership of our ministers of trade, the leadership of our ministers of international relations, it's something that is possible. And we are looking forward to having an exciting day and a celebratory day, and we are looking forward to many, many more transactions under this agreement.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Today we celebrate Burundi's Independence Day. We also unpacked the shaky Congo-Rwanda peace deal. And of course, the stories happening in Cameroon as the political space shakes up. All this and more on Africa Good Morning, as we will also deliver tomorrow. Tomorrow, however, being Wednesday, also means that Rorisang Mohojwe joins us from the Botswana Report. From me, Ashwin Bedi and the Africa Good Morning team, DSTV 285, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, and NTV Africa is where you can find us on 1up2.com. Do check out Echo if you want to have a look at the episode again. But for now, Sila Jakanaka.